okay. Like I said, at first it sounded like it was going really good, and she seemed really happy. All the visitors. But then when it started to settle down a little, I would come to visit and she'd cry. When am I going to go home? I want to go home to Dick. I need to go and just be in my own home. I don't want to be here. When do I get to go home? I mean, it was hard to even go to visit her because I knew exactly what she was going to say. And then other days, she would seem pretty good. The therapist said that she was doing a great job. My mom always was a really hard worker. She always liked exercises, so she really loved what the therapists were doing, making her do all kinds of stuff, and we were hoping that that would make it be so that she would begin to walk better, and it might give her some mental stimulation, and she might start to think better. And those are all kind of wishful thinking. So I would go back and forth. I would some days think, okay, good decision, Karen. You're doing a good job. You're a grown-up now. You can make these kind of decisions. And then there was other days I'd go home and curl up in a fetal position on the bed and just kind of cry and think, you're just doing a terrible job taking care of your parents. You know, it was hard. So, then we discovered. We thought, okay, we got all it took for us to do was put her in the swing bed. She's at Good Sam's. She's now a resident. It's all going to work out. Fairy tale ending. Dad would have the house to himself. Then we were looking into how to pay for everything. And I thought Medicare automatically took care of these things. But the answer to that is no. So we thought, well, we'll apply for Medicaid. And that's what people told us to do, apply for Medicaid if you don't have the finances to keep them in the rest home, because a rest home costs almost $5,000 a month. My parents had some money, but they'd have gone through that in less than a year. Less than a year, and all of their savings would have been gone. So we applied for Medicaid, but because they did have a savings, albeit small, they couldn't apply for Medicaid. No insurance, of course, would take them. So it was kind of like, what do we do now? And I wanted to talk to my dad, but my dad had pretty much just washed his hands. You know, you make the decisions. He didn't want to have anything to do with making decisions. So me and Dave talking about it. What should we do? You know, what in the world can we do? She obviously can't stay at the rest home because we could let her stay in the rest home and just burn up all of their money in 6 months, and then both Mom and Dad could go on Medicaid, but, you know, they'd be destitute. They'd have no money, no anything. Medicaid would take all of their retirement money, everything. So Dave had for a long time, because Mom, she had a stroke in 2007. And so things had been difficult since then in taking care of them. We had, for years, I'd be at a horse show, I'd get a call, Mom's on the floor. We'd have to pack up and leave and go back home and pick up Mom, and then, you know, our lives were disrupted all the time. I'm sure even before 2007, but that's when it became very, very difficult. We couldn't leave town. And when we left town, we'd get calls that something was wrong, and it was just frustrating, very frustrating. So for years we had talked about, let's get a caretaker, or Dave had talked about, let's get a caretaker, but here's what I thought. Okay. Dave had always suggested that we find someone to live in with them, but to me this was a very unwise choice, because I figured that the only people who would take a live-in job would be homeless crackheads or junkies that would just steal them blind. But by this time I was so desperate, and I figured that if the rest home was going to steal every single penny anyways, what difference would it make? So, we put an ad in the Salina paper, and just in case somebody decent applied for this job that I didn't think it was out there, I started preparing their home, and cleaning it and getting it ready for the caretaker. Now, again, they were living in their own home, taking care of their own business up until this point. This is 2010. And I didn't go snoop around, look in drawers, and check the closet. They were adults. I was an adult. We had personal family boundaries, and, that was showing respect. Well, now I had to clean the house, and I was appalled. I have to tell you that my mother was the cleanest person in this world. She dressed to the nines. She always had matching purse and shoes. Her clothes were tailored, beautiful clothes. All my life I remember. I remember her flipping pancakes in one of those little 50s dresses and high heels in the kitchen. Always. She always looked great. We had to take our shoes off at the front door, and we couldn't be barefoot. We had to wear socks because there was oil on your feet, and that's going to mess up your carpeting. We couldn't put our hands on the woodwork because we left fingerprints, and that was unacceptable. Fingerprints, unacceptable. So what I found would appall me anyway, but it made me so sad that my parents, or mostly my mom, was living in the condition that she was in. Getting the house clean was appalling. I had had a cleaning lady come in for years, and I knew that she wasn't doing a great job, but I was shocked. The closet was a disorganized mess. Everything was stuffed everywhere. The kitchen had bugs in the flour, and we're talking everywhere. Bugs in the cupboards, bugs on the dishes. I just had to pull everything out of everything in the kitchen and scrub and scrub and scrub. And, that was so hard. And then when I got to the bedroom, I got to read this part because it's just so hard to even remember. We tore into the bedroom, and the bed was urine soaked through the mattress, through the box springs, through the carpet, the pad, and the urine had ruined the floor. There was a big black spot in the wood, and the wood was curled up from being wet. The room smelled like urine. The bathroom smelled like urine. It was hard. I cleaned every day from early morning, starting at about 6 o'clock in the morning, until I went to work. And I did a very physical, hard job at work. And then I'd come home, I'd eat a little dinner, and I'd go back over there and clean more until bedtime. We threw away the bed, and even the rails were rusted. We sanded the floor. First we scrubbed it with Clorox and disinfected everything, threw the bed away, the rusted rails. Then we renewed everything. We put in brand new pad and carpeting and all of that. And my mom had for a while been having, we knew she was having a urinary problem, that she had become incontinent, and I had tried to encourage her to wear Depends. And that was a battle. Before she went into the rest home, I would buy Depends, she would throw them away. I would encourage her to put them on, and in my presence, she would smile and put them on, and then she would take them off and throw them away. I was trying to figure out how to deal with it. I took all of her personal underwear, so she'd have to wear something, and she wore Dad's. Or nothing. No underwear. I didn't know what to do with her. So that ended up being a battle. But there was one pleasant part about it. Not that part. About cleaning the house. I went through all their pictures and their documents. I just found everything. I went through everything, down with the boundaries. I'm going to take care of stuff. Obviously, they weren't taking care of themselves. I finally got that figured out. So, I stepped up to the bat, and I took care of everything. I found documents and pictures everywhere, and so I got to go through all those pictures and go through all those things, and I even found a love letter from like whenever World War II was, the 40s, I guess, right? A love letter from a soldier that she just met at some dance. She'd never go to bars, but she would go to dances, and about how he was going to be there for her afterwards, and it was just cute that she had kept that. And I prepared the extra bedroom, the guest room, for a caretaker. And that was kind of fun. I love to decorate, so I got that room all fixed up and got their house all clean and all fixed up. And it was going really good. So I was ready for whatever came next. Whatever the next step of the journey was going to be. The house was ready for it anyway.